The order is contention 1 arms race, contention 2 drone swarms, the disarm DA, and then the AI DA. Is anybody not ready? Contention 1 arms race. Lethal autonomous weapons cause extinction. They say that with their first answer that the AIDA impact turns this. Extend our con evidence, which says that lethal autonomous weapons are hacked and fall into the hands of bad actors, which lead to their proliferation, which causes mass killing by warlords, terrorists, and dictators. This proliferation ensures our extinction. Our Aguirre evidence says that this is an existential risk. They say that an arms race would be safe, but extend our Jane and Croning evidence that says that this arms race would unleash a technology that would cause it to turn on its creators. They don't have a sophisticated understanding of artificial intelligence in this debate, so default to ours that artificial intelligence is possible and deadly. They read a piece of evidence for their next argument. It's from 2014 and doesn't assume new technologies, prefer our evidence from 2019 and 2020 from university professors that study the subject material for a living. Their last answer is that it's inevitable, but we solve this inevitability. 3 arguments. First is that Aguirre says that we can create norms which lead to the ban taking place, which means we solve back for it. Second is our Jane and Croning evidence says that it creates an arms control regime, which would also be able to solve back for this. 3 is that this argument is empirically wrong because instances like chemical weapons and of CFCs meant that we opened Pandora's box on something and closed it, which means it's possible. The swarms contention. First, extend our Kallenborn evidence. They just say this non-autonomous argument. It's not in the evidence. Our evidence is specific to autonomous drones, lethal autonomous weapons. That's our internal link to biological, chemical, and nuclear weapons. They don't have an argument against this, so you should prefer our Kallenborn evidence. They say no impact to chemical weapons, but you should prefer our Kallenborn evidence that talks about how the Islamic State wants these weapons, and their logic is going to talk about like Japan in the 1990s and doesn't assume a 2021 sophisticated view of terrorism. Extend our Christic evidence that says that this actually causes extinction. You should prefer Christic because Christic is a professor of physics that studies these substances for a living. Disarm. First is that laws destroy nuclear deterrence by eliminating SSBMs. Boulan in 19. Matter relies on the assumption that an attacker has no incentive to launch a nuclear strike if the defender can guarantee a retaliatory strike. It was not until the development of SSBMs that nuclear deterrence became stable, dramatically changed with AI-enabled tracking and targeting of adversaries' nuclear weapons. AI ISR systems and unmanned underwater vehicles chase SSBMs. With such capabilities, the threat of retaliation could be ruled out and thus invite a first strike. Nuclear deterrence is highly psychological and relies on the perception of an adversary's capabilities, market capabilities. My next argument against this contention is my impact outweighs. We would solve, they say that disarm solves for nuclear war. We say that laws are worse than nuclear war and terrifying because their evidence even says this because they say it enables things like assassinations. This is why laws are bad. My last answer to this is that this doesn't solve chemical or biological weapons, which would outweigh because they're an existential threat. The AIDA. AI causes warming. Toes in 2020. AI consumes a massive amount of energy. These energy requirements are growing at a breathtaking rate. The resources needed to produce AI double every 3 to 4 months. Exponential trajectory. AI means a carbon footprint today and soon become worse. AI entails a tremendous amount of energy expenditure and thus carbon emissions. A single deep learning model generate emissions equal to a total lifetime carbon footprint of 5 cars. Another factor is AI's massive energy draws, extensive experimentation and tuning and required develop. My next answer to this contention is extend our Jane and Croning evidence. We lead to human extinction outweighs this contention. Thank you. Please vote for the affirmative team in today's debate.